in Colossians 2:14, it states, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which is contrary to us, and nailed it to the cross. Please explain. What are the ordinances?
Okay, so when you're looking at verse 14, okay, he says, and you will go, let's go further back, okay? Verse 9, because in him dwells all the completeness of the mightiness bodily, and you have been made complete in him who is the head of all principalities and authorities. Now we're establishing that he has authority to do this next thing. Okay, we're making sure that context-wise, you know that he has the full authority to do what is about to come after that. That in him you were also circumcised with a circumcision not made with hands, in the putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Messiah. Okay, so now he's saying is, look, there's one thing to take away a piece of flesh, but you're actually having your heart circumcised, which always, by the way, both were required. And by the way, this verse is not telling you that the fleshly one is no longer required. That's not what's going on here either. What we're saying is that having done these things, having been buried with him in immersion, in which you were raised with him through the belief in the working of Elohim, who raised him from the dead. So now we're understanding that there was this resurrection and there was this change from death to life. He says, and you, being dead, because of in your trespasses, you did things that brought the death penalty. You being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, he has made alive together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses. So now let's keep understanding that that's what it's all about. Now what follows is he explains what that looks like because of the trespasses. He says, how did he do this? He blotted out the certificate of debt that you owed because of trespasses. Okay? The certificate of debt that was required by the law. Now, he didn't get rid of the law. He got rid of the certificate of debt that you required because you broke the law, which stood against us. The law didn't stand against you. The certificate of debt stood against you. And he has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the stake. See, what you also don't know is that historically, in the day this is talking about, they would literally nail your offenses to the stake that you were crucified on. So if someone walked by, they know why you were there. Okay? Look it up. It's not it's historically accurate. So they understood what this meant. You don't, because you never picture that. You see the movies where they put Messiah up on a cross. They put maybe the thing that says, here's King of the Jews, whatever, above his head. But they never see this whole nailing of this is why he's here. Okay? But that's what they did. And so he's saying, look, Messiah took the guilty verdict that you had because you were guilty. You were trespassing. And he took that and said, I will take that and pay for it. Imagine we'll go back to the car analogy. Imagine you have a problem with speeding and you get a lot of speeding tickets. Okay? Those tickets are against you. They're held against your record. They're held against your license. And what if somebody came in and said, I will take those away. I'll wipe it off your license. I will pay your tickets for you. They will no longer be held against you. By the way, does that now mean you can never get another ticket? No. If you speed, you still get in trouble. The law is still there. You do this a little bit with that, how many of you, I don't have to raise your hand, but I know I've done this in the past because as a younger man with driving a fast car, got tickets, and there was a way to go take a class, and if I took the class, it would wipe points off my license. So it would take something that was against me and wipe it out. And I did something to accomplish that. And what this is saying is that you had something against you, not the law, the breaking of the law. The ticket, let's just make it simple. You broke a Torah command, it created a ticket, and those tickets are accumulating. And because they're against you, they need to be taken out of the way or you can't have a forever kingdom experience. Because those tickets would not allow for you to pass into that kingdom. And so he makes it possible through his death, burial, and resurrection to have that taken away. Now, it doesn't take away the possibility that you would continue to sin, which is why Paul tells you things like, if you indeed continue. This is why Yeshua tells us in John, all those branches that don't stay in me end up in the fire. And they burned up like the kindling, right? So you can choose not to stay in him. But what he's saying is if you choose to stay, I provided a way for those things that were against you, that you were guilty of, to no longer be held against you. So not only are they wiped out, like as far as like, you know, they could be taken off your record, but they're actually, you know, expunged. If we think of it like today's legal thing, expunged, like there is no record of it anymore. They're expunged. Now, that doesn't expunge all future offenses. It means that everything that you did that involved that thing is expunged from your record. Okay? So now when we look at it, we say, look, and you who are dead in your trespasses, it's about trespasses. The one who has authorities, head over all the principality and authority, from verse 10, etc., who had all the mightiness of Elohim in bodily form in him, that one was able to blot out the rap sheet. Okay, the certificate of death, the tickets that were against us by the dogmas, by the law. And there's nothing wrong with the law, but the law did let you know that there was a problem, which stood against us. Now remember, it's not the law, but it's the certificates of debt that were against you. And he's taken them out of the way and nailed that to the stake. Does that make sense now? Okay? And by the way, then him stripping the principalities and authorities, saying, look, you were under the authorities of darkness. All of this strips away that darkness, puts you in light so that you don't have those penalties anymore because you're not going to walk in the light. Okay? If you walk in light, nothing can be against you. Now, of course, if you choose to walk back in the darkness, you can accumulate a bunch of new tickets. And that's where you then have to repent and make teshuvah and then ask Yeshua to have the blood then applied to those new tickets. Does that make sense now? Hopefully that answered the question. Okay, next question.